Hey guys, welcome to episode 9 of the Benjamin Theodore podcast. My name is Ben. I hope you're having a great day. Today we're going to find out why and how I used a wine glass in a pop song. And we're going to be discussing my song I Can Breathe Again. And this was the first song that I wrote and recorded for my album The Eternal Optimist, which is out now. So if you haven't checked that out, it's everywhere on Spotify, Apple Music. There's also a link down below to a CD and a limited edition vinyl that you can buy directly from me. So we're going to be discussing this song. I'm going to show you how I made it. We're going to talk about some production advice. I'm going to try to give you some good tips and techniques today, and I'll try to share some interesting stories about the song. So let's go. So why don't we just play the song directly so you know what we're talking about. Now, if you've already heard the song, you can skip ahead if you want to for about 3.5 minutes. So, but if not, sit back and relax. Here's I Can Breathe Again.
Seasons come and seasons go. Still it's hard to let you go. But I have to move on now. It's the only choice I have. Everything must come to pass. There is nothing that will last if I don't release the pain. It will break me down again. I've been hurt before, so I need to let you know this is where we come to say goodbye. You get me down before, so I have to let you go. 'Cause when you're finally gone, I can't breathe again. I can't breathe again. Thank you for the love we had. It was fun until it crashed. You have taught me life's a game where we start again each life. I've been hurt before, so I need to let you know this is where we come to say goodbye. You get me down before, so I need to let you go. When you're finally gone, I can't breathe again. I don't ever wanna leave. I don't wanna break your heart. I know that it's gonna hurt when you walk out through the door. But if we can come to terms that this isn't gonna work, we will finally be happy again. 'Cause I've been hurt before, so I need to let you know this is where we come to say goodbye. You get me down before, so I need to let you go. 'Cause when you're finally gone, I can't breathe again. I can't breathe again. I can't breathe
And yes, there we are. I was just while we were playing the song, looking up some voice memos on my phone, because I was remembering that there is a voice memo where I recorded the initial idea of this track. Because this actually started out on guitar, I had the idea for the main hook line in the chorus, the "I Can Breathe Again," that line, and I think it's this one. I can breathe again. I can breathe again. I can breathe again. I can breathe again. So it was still very small, and it started out on guitar, actually. The chords were a little different. In the final song, the chord progression in the main chord, the main chord progression is E minor 7, A added 9 over C sharp, then D, and then G added 9 over B. So a little different than this. This was, I think, a B minor, A, G, D, and then A. So it started out a little differently, but then later I found out there's this voice memo called Piano Coldplay Ballad Idea, because I wanted to make something similar to Magic by Coldplay. I call it magic. And that's why we'll get into the sounds later. But I wanted to have something on piano instead. So in yesterday's episode, I was talking about that about 50% of the tracks on the record my album are piano based. And this is, of course, one of them. And so this was the first song that I wrote for the record. And after that, after I made this, then the idea started to pop into my head of maybe this could be like an album thing. But I really was into Coldplay, the later, the modern stuff. And I wanted to have that kind of sound. So I went to this idea, Piano Coldplay Ballad Idea. And what's really precious is that you can hear my son in the background when he was, I think, 6 months old. So that's really nice to hear. Then later there was a voice memo called Bridge and Chorus for the Coldplay Ballad Idea. It still didn't have a title, and I didn't connect the first voice memo, I Can Breathe Again, where I had that line, and the piano thing. I hadn't connected them yet. It's the bridge from Piano Coldplay Ballad. So this is the bridge. You can hear my son playing with the tambourine. So the line "I've been burned before" didn't make it into the final song, but the chord progression stuck. And so this is how songs sometimes evolve. It starts with an idea, then a couple of weeks later, another line pops into my head, and I'm connecting dots, and then it all comes together when I go into Logic. So nowadays I go into Logic straight away when I'm writing a song, because if I'm in the initial, inspiration phase, then I want to capture all the magic that's in that song as soon as possible, and the best way to do that is in Logic for me. So but anyways, this is how this song came to be. So now let's go into the Logic session. So as I told you, I wanted the song to sound a little bit like Magic by Coldplay. And let's see. So I started out with this drum loop. It's a 909, just really simple, but it gives it a little bit of a modern vibe, I think. Excuse me. And then I added the bass guitar, which also is really similar to Magic by Coldplay. Let's see, where's the bass? It's over here. And it creates an interesting rhythm, because you have the dun 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 dun, which is syncopated, and then you have that drum loop, which so straight away there's movement going on, and then it's layered with the piano, which leaves a little bit more space. It breathes a little bit more, which of course again ties into the "I Can Breathe Again" theme that this song has. And there's a lot of thematic stuff happening around "I Can Breathe Again." For example, the vocal sound is very breathy. A lot of sounds have some sort of like resolvement going on. So yeah, that's how it starts. Just very small, but there's a big sound going on straight away, mainly because of the wide piano and the big bass guitar that really drives the song. So let's go into the first chorus right here.
Seasons come and seasons go, still it's hard to let you go, but I have to move on now.
So there's a lot of air in my vocal sound, which is really compressed, and it really brings out the nuances in my voice. And I even when I initially made this mix, I released it as a second single for the album. But after that, when I was finishing up the mixes for the album, like the final mixes, I added some stuff to compress it even more, to bring more of that humanness out of my voice. So the stuff that you see here on the left side of the screen, if you are watching on YouTube or Spotify, these plugins here on top, they are what I used in the initial single mix. And then I added these later. So I added, let's see what I did. Added a little bit of high end with this 1073 EQ. Then I made it a little fuller with the pull tag, just a little bit, added a little bit of 100 hertz. And then this compressor I added, which, if I recall correctly, is being used to compress heavily.
Seasons come,
yes,
and seasons go.
This is definitely not textbook stuff to use this much compression, but this really brought out the life of the vocal performance and made it be on top of the mix, which I really wanted. If you hear it in context.
Seasons come and seasons go. Still it's hard to let you go.
So it's heavily compressed, but I really love this sound. So yeah, that's the first verse, and then the second verse happens, and this song is very much layered. I really thought about how to layer this stuff and how to build it up from the intro all the way to the end, to the climactic outro. And a funny thing that I did in the second verse, which comes straight after the first verse in this arrangement, I added something which you can see on the screen if you're watching, and it sounds like this.
Everything must come to pass.
There are two rhythmic elements being introduced. The first is just a shaker loop, but the second one is a wine glass that I sampled, which is really unique. I never done that before. It's this part. You see, before I started producing this track, I was watching a master class, some sort of online course by Charlie Puth, where he was showing his workflow, how he wrote and produced and mixed an entire song from scratch. And he explained that he likes to sample a lot of stuff. He just uses his iPhone and he records, like individual notes, boom, 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 3 samples, and then he completely transforms those notes into like an electric guitar or something like that. But he samples all kinds of stuff and then he uses it in his production. So I was inspired by that, and I was hearing this dun, 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 sort of like a bell sound. So I grabbed my iPhone and I recorded a wine glass, literal wine glass in my house, with just playing it with my ring on my finger. Ding. And I created a couple of samples, and I took one and I copied and pasted it into this rhythm. And it's a unique sound, also because it has a certain tone to it, which isn't really in key with the song. So that's done on purpose.
Everything must come to pass.
It's that note. And it's just recorded with the iPhone mic. So I used the denoiser, waves denoiser, add a little bit of high end. I've never used an SSL channel strip on a wine glass before, so that's nice. A little bit of compression to make it pop. So yeah, that's a nice thing about using a DAW with unlimited possibilities. Vintage verb on the wine glass, and then a noise gate on the wine glass. So yeah, there you go. That's a wine glass. Really fun, and it only happens in that section in the song. So it's a really unique part, and I think that's important. To have like unique events. I like to call them events, stuff that happens that grab your attention, and then especially when they happen only once, your brain is expecting it to come back again, but it's not happening. So you keep listening, but it's not coming. And so it really leaves you with this sort of urgency to keep listening and to listen again, because you really want to hear that sound again, if done correctly. All right, so then we head into the first chorus section.
It hurt before, so I need to let you know.
Where there's a soft pad added, just Logic stuff.
You get me down before, so
and the bass guitar is the big driver in the song, as I mentioned. But I think it might be even more important than the piano. And so I automated some fills that I played on the bass. It's a Höfner bass, just my cheap violin bass that I had at that time. So let's see. Oh yeah, there are some small volume bumps on certain fills that I play.
This is where we come to say goodbye. You get me down.
Just to keep things interesting, to have, again, events. It's really important. And then we go into the first post-chorus, which is the actual I Can Breathe Again section, which, you know, needed to be big. Then there needed to be contrast. So this is how I did that.
I can't breathe again.
Guitar. Those are all the elements that are being added in that section. So there's even a sub bass, which has its place under the main, you know, the electric bass. If you're wearing good headphones or listening on speakers, you can hear the sub, but it gives it this certain energy, you know, in that certain section. It adds weight to the whole thing. Third verse, of course, here we're doing my classic second half of the second verse technique. If you've been paying attention, if you've been watching my previous episodes, you might notice that I use this technique often. And just really to repeat it real quickly, what I do after the first chorus, the listeners basically heard everything that he or she needed to hear. So this is a crucial point in the song where you might lose the listener. So you have to introduce some stuff, you have to make stuff happen. So what I like to do is to use the half of the length of the first verse in the, you know, the post-chorus section, and I mean with that the verse that comes after the chorus. So it gets cut in half, so the length is shorter, so you can get to the second chorus quicker. But also in the second half of the second verse, so it's the third verse in this instance, there's a lift happening, and that comes in the form of, you know, drums being added, all sorts of stuff. So thank you for the love we had. First we kind of take a step back. The drums are being filtered there, and the, you know, the low pass filter slowly opens up, and then drums get introduced. Second chorus, you know, it keeps building. There are acoustic guitars being introduced, you know, right here. Going into the middle 8 section. You know, and this is the big Sky Radio moment of this song. I was joking about that in the previous episode, you know, because it has such great, such big vocals. It's really like a soft pop song at this point, which I really love. This is like the boy band moment of the song. So let's solo those vocals real quick. I don't ever wanna leave. I don't wanna break your heart. I know that it's gonna hurt when you walk out through the door. But if we can come to terms that this isn't gonna work, we will finally be happy again. 'Cause I've been hurt. Awesome, yeah, really big vocals. And they are happening only in the middle 8 section. So that's, you know, again, a unique event. It's not like these vocals continue for the rest of the song. You know, it gets bigger later on as well. But first, before we go into the final chorus or the post-chorus section, there's a small chorus again. Yeah, and this was the first time that I used the final 4 bars of drums as an outro, and since then I've used that in a lot of other songs. So yeah, this really builds around the theme of the song. I Can Breathe Again, you know, that relief that comes when it opens up and you can finally breathe air again. That's really being represented in throughout this arrangement. So this is something that I'm really proud of, that turned out really nicely. And yeah, I love it. There are these 80s toms here. Maybe I can play those for you as well. Again, the Phil Collins type of fills, type of fill, the type of toms, you know. Do 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 duh. In the Air Tonight, those fills. So yeah, this is I Can Breathe Again. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you like it. It's one of my best songs, I think. It's one of the oldest songs that on the record. I mentioned that this was the first song that I wrote, but I was just looking through my voice memos when I was playing it, or looking for this voice memos, and I saw that Jack Kerouac and Always There For You were even older. So I started writing them before that, and I think now that I mention it, I think MTV, so the first track on the song, actually started like a couple of years before that, so as an idea, but it took a while before it evolved. So yeah, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed. If you haven't checked out this track, it would be really cool if you could check it out on Spotify or whichever streaming service you prefer. If you could follow me there as well, that helps a little with the algorithm. Spotify sees that you add stuff to your library or to playlists, then it might get added to algorithmic playlists, which really exposes me to new listeners around the world. So if you could do that, that'd be great. Thank you very much. And thank you for listening, for watching or listening this podcast. Please leave a comment if you're watching on YouTube. Let me know what you think of this song. Maybe there's something that you are learning, that you've learned from watching these episodes. I would love to hear that. I would love to connect with you. Thank you so much for checking out my music and this podcast. And I see you tomorrow. We're going to talk about a completely different track, which is called Always There For You. It's track number 5 on the album. And it's a song I wrote for my son when he was born. It's got great acoustic drums and stuff like that. So yeah, it's really a beautiful song, a magical song, and we'll go discuss that in tomorrow's episode. Okay, have a great day and see you tomorrow. Ciao.